Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the last days. My name's Laura-Lynn Thompson, and we're gonna go through this together because it's getting crazy. So I don't know if you saw what's going on, but before we do, you know that my father passed away, and I love his old Bible. It's got to be 80 years old. I mean, it's if not more. I don't know. Well, he didn't get it when he was born, for Pete's sake. So maybe it's only 60 years old. I don't know. It's very old. And I always love, brings me comfort to read what he thought was important. And he has underlined almost every page in this Bible. And every day I like to see what he thought was important. So I opened it up today. It kind of fell open right to here. And it says in Psalms 106, verse 47, it says, "Save us, O Lord our God." Don't we need that right now? "And gather us from among the heathen." I feel like the heathen are raging. You know what I'm saying? "To give thanks to your holy name and to triumph in your praise." So I'd like to be saved from the heathen. Thanks for that reminder, Dad. I really appreciate it. I think the heathen are raging. Are we ready to go with that clip of Trudeau? He has banned some guns. You're going to get that ready. My guest today, you are absolutely going to love, and of course, you know that I consider him to be one of the finest politicians in the land, always on the right side of what is going on. Always. If we had him as leader, we would have a very safe and prosperous country, I believe, not one that is falling to tyranny. In any case, look at our current leader. This is Prime Minister Trudeau in today's announcement about the guns.
In May, our government introduced measures to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. Today, our national freeze on handguns is coming into force. From today forward, it is no longer legal to buy, sell, or transfer a handgun in Canada.
Well, do you know what else they're doing? They're making it easier for criminals who have used guns to have lighter sentences and get out of jail faster. The same thing seems to be going on with the Build Back Better Biden in the United States of America. Why is this happening? A whole lot of things are going very, very wrong. And you may have known that there's been a lot of challenges in the courts to some of these tickets and also to some of the mandates, the unconstitutional things that we've had to bear as the people of Canada. We know this well, as do the people in Australia, who I'm hearing are once again beginning to have a very difficult time. We'll talk about that later. But in Canada, we believe that we're a free democracy and we should be standing up for that. And no one is a stronger advocate or fighter for our freedom in this nation and for our Charter of Rights and Freedoms to be protected and to be honored than my dear friend, Maxime Bernier, leader of the People's Party of Canada. Hello, Maxime. Welcome.
Hello, Laura-Lynn. I'm very pleased to be with you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Before we get to your issue, uh, this is alarming. A lot of people are going to be very upset about handguns being banned as of today in Canada.
Yeah, so Justin Trudeau is going after the law-abiding Canadians, farmers, hunters, and he's not going after the criminals. In a democracy, you want to have freedom and security, and that's not happening in our country right now. It's sad, that's a right to buy a gun when you follow all the rules and the regulation. And, these are farmers and hunters, for having the right to have a gun, they have to do an exam, they have to have an investigation by the RCMP, they have to have their wife or husband to approve it. So there's a long process and a good process. And now what is telling them, oh no, you're not responsible enough, so you won't have the right to buy handguns anymore. And that's the first time in the history of our country that that is happening, and that's scary.
It is really scary. And, you've outlined on your tweet today, it won't change a thing for criminals, but will bring Canada closer to societies where disarmed citizens were helpless when tyrannical governments came to power. It didn't end well. And that's well spoken. I mean, Australia, people in Australia dearly regret that they, after a false flag event, something happened, they kind of freely gave in a lot of their guns. And then there's sort of been a ban ever since. And the people of Australia have been literally unarmed and unprotected citizens from their very tyrannical measures that went on. And I've received something that I'm going to call it's just a rumor, but an Australian contact that we have is saying that they
Yeah.
are beginning to take measures to actually go in amongst the Indigenous people armed and begin forcing vaccinations. Now, I don't want to go any farther than to say I have it on good report from somebody there. But this is one of the reasons that we as citizens believe that we need to be able to protect ourselves in our homes. Crime is up, so that, as you say, the criminals get away with everything, and we aren't allowed to protect ourselves.
Actually, yeah, and you're right. We are supposed to live in a democracy. That is, the society and the government must respect the rule of law. And doing that, it's not respecting the rule of law. People has the right to buy guns and using in line with the legislation, respecting the regulation and the legislation. And what he's doing, I don't understand. There's no problem with that. He's creating a problem that does not exist. The solution is to go after the criminals and put all the resources there, but that's not his doing. Canadians that are like their sport or their hobby, they won't be able to buy a gun anymore and to practice their hobby and their sport. It's I don't recognize my country anymore, Laura-Lynn, and it's very very it's a sad day for our democracy. It's a sad day for also our justice system, because, as you know, we will discuss my case that as you know, I sued the federal government with Brian Pitford on the restriction that Trudeau imposed on us.
Yes, and I want to know how that turned out, and what you're feeling, as a result of that. And then I'd also, I see that you did tweet, basically about your legal challenge, but also that Trudeau said this week he could bring back his authoritarian COVID measures if we don't all get more shots. And Maxime, you have been on the right side of this the whole way. You are for freedom. If you want to get the shot, get the shot. If you don't want to get the shot, don't get the shot. It's one of the reasons that you've taken the court to task, to respect our freedoms. But Prime Minister Trudeau said so that he used the word danger. I thought that was very interesting. He said, so that you need to get the shot so that we're not in danger of having to go back to the restrictions,
Yeah, everybody must be free to do what they want with their body. And what Trudeau did to unvaccinated Canadians the last 2 years, it is imposing his point of view. We were living in an authoritarian country when Trudeau imposed a vaccine passport on unvaccinated Canadians. I was not able to travel across the country freely. And we have a constitution, we have a charter of rights and freedoms. And I believe that he was not respecting our charter of rights and freedom. Also, Brian Pitford, as you know, is one of the father of our charter of rights and freedom. He was there as the premier of Newfoundland a couple of years ago when we implemented the charter of rights in our constitution. So we decided, Brian and myself, to sue the federal government, the Trudeau government, because we believe that we have the right and we must have that right to freely travel across our country. So that case was supposed to start October 31st. We had 5 days of hearing, but in the beginning of September, the lawyers working for the government, the government decided to put a motion before the judge, and they said, the case must be moot because, these draconian measures are not enforced anymore. Trudeau suspended the vaccine passport for Canadian travelers, so there's no reason for you, the judge, to go to proceed with that lawsuit. And we were waiting for a decision. That decision came yesterday at the end of the day. The judge said yes to the government. The judge said our case is mute because Trudeau suspended the vaccine passport and because the vaccine passport is not enforced anymore. So it's a very, very dangerous decision. It's a very bad decision. It's a denial of justice. We need the tribunal are there when you don't like what your government is doing, and you must have the right to proceed and to have a hearing before the tribunal. And also it was in the public opinion, in the public interest to have that hearing, but the judge said no. So, Laura-Lynn, what that means, it means that you can commit a crime in Canada, and you'll when the judge will say, oh yeah, you committed a crime, you must go in prison. Oh no, now I won't commit that crime anymore, so that case must be mute because that was in the past. And I'm
Let's
telling
put
you
it
that in the
behind us.
future, yeah, I'm telling you that in the future, I won't do that crime anymore. So that's what the judge is telling us. And Trudeau, that's what, with that tweet, Trudeau said 2 days ago that if we don't take our shots, we may have the risk to see that vaccine passport coming again. That the vaccine passport was suspended, only suspended, not abolished. So Trudeau just said that, and the judge said, "Oh, it's okay. We won't go on with that case." That's it's for the justice system in our country. The justice system in our country is losing a lot of credibility with that decision. It's a shame, and we must have, we have the executive power in our country, the legislative power, and the judiciary power. And the judge doesn't want to do his job to hear that case and to have a decision on that case. We won't be able to have that decision. So what we decided to do, Brian Pitford and myself, we will appeal that decision before the Federal Court of Appeal. We want to go ahead with our case. We want to, we have witnesses. We did examination and cross-examination of all these witnesses, and that must go on. We must be able to have a decision concerning our Charter of Rights and Freedom and our right to travel freely across our country. So that's a sad day for our democracy, and I believe the judge doing that, she discredit the justice system in our country.
Although it's really funny, it's really sad. Like, you're absolutely right. It's like saying, we might have done something wrong, but anyways, it's over. So let's move on and get over it. Can't we all just get along, people? And let's just, go back into happy land, except we're not in happy land. We have a government who's now continuing in the tyranny, the gun removal. And then he's also said, as you well say, that they're going to be considering bringing this back. They're not stopping, no matter what the data is. You have been posting some really great stuff on the data regarding the vaccines, and no matter what is being said or comes out through science, data, the doctors, they're going to, push full ahead. In fact, are you ready for that? Let me show you Trudeau's clip that you're talking about, where he said it would be coming. Yeah.
I think one of the things to remember as flu season approaches is people have got to get vaccinated, whether it's getting the flu vaccine or getting up to date in your COVID shots. There are actually new formulations out now that are up to date, to cover both Omicron and the original strain of COVID. And we encourage everyone to get those vaccinations, to keep pressure off of our hospitals, of our frontline heroes who are working so hard to keep people safe, but also keep pressures off of our economy and communities. If we're able to get a high enough level of vaccination, we reduce the danger of needing to take other health measures to make sure that we're all safe and not overloading our hospitals. And I look forward to continuing to work with premiers like Premier Ford on delivering a strong healthcare system for the future.
We reduce the danger of having to put more enforcement on constitutional enforcements on you.
Yeah, so that's why the judge was wrong with that decision, because Trudeau just said it, and that's what our lawyers were saying. These restrictions can come back. And in our society, Laura-Lynn, you as an individual, you are responsible of your actions, the good one and the bad ones. So, but right now, what the judge is telling us, your leader, your prime minister, is not responsible of his actions. Like all Canadians, we cannot have a decision about what Trudeau did to us Canadians. So he's free. He can do what he wants without having any decision or any action or debates about what he's doing in front in a court. So that's scary. That's scary for our democracy. And I hope that when we will appeal that, we'll have a judge that will understand it's a very, very dangerous precedent, that decision.
Absolutely. And you've been reporting and following very closely. Another one of your tweets said the justification for invoking the Emergencies Act was entirely based on downright lies from the Liberals and their lapdog media. And I just appreciate that you stand so strongly. Where are the others speaking out on this? Where is the Conservative government saying even more and going after this? I mean, they've kind of come to the playing field very late. But when you can hear that, I think it was Keith Wilson, the lawyer for the Justice Institute or Justice Center for Constitutional, from the center, he said that he couldn't believe it upon cross-examination that they never told the government to enact these emergency orders. And this was done absolutely because Justin Trudeau is tyrannical and wants to be like other leaders, like Castro, and he loves China, the way China does things. And so it makes us feel unsafe here.
Absolutely. And it's a shame that the Conservative Party of Canada is not speaking about that. Poilievre is not speaking about that. And we were there, Laura-Lynn, and we remember that was dangerous. And now what we have during these hearings, we have the police from Ontario and also the police from Ottawa police. They all said that they didn't ask for that, and they were able to manage a situation without that new tool, without the Emergencies Act. So what that was based on propaganda coming from Trudeau and political repression. He doesn't want the truckers and the Freedom Convoy to be there. And also he wanted to have the power to freeze bank accounts. And he did it. And I remember when he did it, that was all over the world in the mainstream media. But here in Canada, our mainstream media didn't speak about that. Freezing your account because you donate some of your money to a noble cause, a freedom cause in a free and democratic country. What's that? So yes, Trudeau was tyrannical, authoritarian, and I hope that we'll have a decision, a report that will say the truth, that because they didn't have any justification to bring back that legislation, to implement that legislation. no justification. If you read in the legislation, you need to have a war or your life must be in danger, and nobody was in danger in Ottawa during that convoy. Actually, the police said it was safe, and the protesters were speaking to the police to be sure that everything is okay on the security side. So that was all repression, political repression. And I hope that the judge will see that and write that in his report.
I hope so too. Max, could I just get a comment from your heart? This this is unprecedented what's happening. You have been a politician for many years. Your father was a politician for many years in this country. People are actually afraid now. We have an unprecedented amount of people leaving the country, and everything that the government does is so scary. And while I personally, as a person of faith, find my hope and my strength that God's in control and He's going to help us, I do have to say, when I see what this government's doing and other governments seemingly to be, simultaneously doing the craziest things, um, I feel I feel worried for Canada.
Uh, Absolutely. People must remember that we created that country. The father of our constitutions wrote in our constitution, this country has been built on the supremacy of God and the rule of law. We don't have the rule of law anymore. Look what happened with the Freedom Convoy, freezing account. Look what happened with people who want to buy guns right now. Look what is happening to us, me and Brian. We cannot have that debate. There's no rule of law, and I understand that some people are leaving the country. But for me, I decided to do that fight. It's our country, it's my country, and I'm doing everything to be sure that we will regain our country. People are telling me, Maxime, you must change the constitution. Trudeau is not respecting our constitution. No, we have a great constitution. The problem is our politicians, our establishment politicians. They don't respect the constitution. We need to put the right people in charge. And that's our goal. That's what we are doing at the People's Party, fighting for what we believe. But it's a tough time. And you add to that the inflation, you add to that we may have a recession. So it will be very tough the next couple of years. But we are there. We are doing that fight, and I hope and I believe that the common sense will prevail in our country, and the rule of law will prevail. But we need to be out there, and I want to thank you, Laura-Lynn, because of you, of the alternative media, the independent media. People can know the truth, can go and follow you and other independent journalists, because we cannot count on the mainstream media. Right now, the mainstream media is the propaganda arms of the government. We saw that during COVID-19, and they're not doing their job. They're supposed to be the fourth power, and being there to look at the government, what the government is doing. But no, they are, Trudeau bought the mainstream media, CBC, Radio Canada. So they are doing what the government want them to do. So at least we have you, we have independent media, and you are also traveling across the country, meeting people. I'm doing the same, and I believe that we'll be able to have a majority on our side, and we'll see changes that we need in this country. But like you, I don't know when, but I believe it will happen.
I believe it will happen as well because, Maxime, you are the only person that I see consistently on the exact same page that I am. Like, I'm so glad that I aligned myself with the People's Party of Canada after I was completely rejected from the Conservative Party of Canada for standing against gender teaching kindergartners, and you understood that. And of course, there are some people who will speak a little bit about it, but for the most part, every member of parliament is silent on what is happening against the family. And it's not just that, but you were right on about the vaccines. You were right on about freedom. You were right on about the guns. You're on the right side of every single issue of, I would say, 99% of the people that I believe vote and think the way that I do. And I thank you for that. And I know that you haven't gotten a fair shake, and the mainstream media has certainly pummeled you because you're the first of its kind. I mean, when you started coming out with these things, nobody would dare to speak the way that you did. It's so courageous.
Thank you. They're afraid. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of the mainstream media, and they're doing politics looking at the poll and the survey. And we know that we are living in a socialist era. And so, what I'm speaking, it's all based on common sense. Right now with the woke and the wokeism everywhere. And the propaganda that the media is very efficient, the population is more to the left. So we have to do that fight. But I'm looking at what is happening in other countries, like in Italy. They have a new government over there, and she did a campaign based on the three principles. She said faith, family, and the country. So, and she was able to win, and that's great. So for us, we are doing that fight. We are putting our country first, Canadian first, and yes, we are fighting for real conservative family values, and we will do that, and we respect everybody. So I believe that our time will come, and but before that, maybe it can be a tough time. But the more we are speaking about our values out there, the more the support will come, I believe. And the best example, Laura-Lynn, is we started the party in 2018 with 0%. Our first election in 2019, 1.6%, and the last election, 5%. So, and I'm saying the same thing, and that will be the same platform at the next election. So we are able to grow, and I believe we will. But we need to be out there, and we don't. We won't do any compromise on our ideas. When you do a compromise, you're giving more and more to the left. No, we believe that we have the right ideas, and we are ready to debate our ideas. And actually, the good news is at the next general election, I will be on the stage, and I will be able to debate with these globalist and establishment politicians. So that will give us more visibility. And I can tell you at that time, that will be a real debate.
It's going to be a barn burner. I can't wait. And Maxime, you will always have my vote. I'm just so grateful. Thank you for your time today. I just urge everyone to follow you on Twitter, follow you on Facebook, because you are always putting out your ideas, how you feel. And every time I read something that you've said, I'm like, wow, you are full of wisdom. And honestly, I believe it's divine wisdom. You have got the handle. You've even come out and said, why are we looking like we want to head towards war in the Ukraine? And I just so agree with you on that. I believe everyone does. The world does not need this chaos going on that everybody seems so, excited to head to war right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't need that war, and it's very dangerous. We cannot. We don't have any money in our country. We are broke, and we are giving money to Ukraine. We need to go back to our history as a country, and our history is to promote peace and prosperity. Lester B. Person, that's our country, and we must do that right now. We must try to find a diplomatic solution to that war, and being out there and speaking with every parties. But we are not doing that. We are pushing and pushing for more a longer war. I don't know what will happen, but it's very, very dangerous. So yes, and it's sad, Laura-Lynn, that we are the only national political party that is against that war and for peace and prosperity. The NDP, the Conservative, the Liberals, the Bloc Québécois, the Green, they are all go and full ahead and pushing for that war. I think it's irresponsible, and we must we must change our foreign policy on that as a country.
I appreciate that. There is nobody standing up for your position that is actually in the parliament right now that doesn't want this and is fighting and speaking out against the war. And that is shocking. And I wish that you were in power now, Maxime. But thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate all of your stands. Everybody needs to follow you on Twitter, on Facebook, and you'll always know exactly where Maxime Bernier stands because he answers the tough questions. And we appreciate that about you. Thank you so much, Maxime.
Thank you, Laura-Lynn. And if they want to know more, they can go also on our website, People's Party of Canada.ca. They can read our platform. That platform won't change. It will be the same one. And I want to thank you. So stay strong and free.
You as well, sir. You as well. Thank you so much, Max. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, I didn't know that in the beginning when it went bad for me in the Conservative Party of Canada, because I realized they weren't going to stand against abortion. They weren't going to stand against the gender thing. They weren't going to stand against the growing euthanasia that was being brought out. Like just now, we've got very liberal, very, very liberal laws on that. I didn't realize that Maxime Bernier would actually be a person that I could respect and learn from, and that I'd moved away from the Conservative Party and I went to the People's Party, but I didn't know I would align with him on so many things. And I think that we've all kind of had a growth experience as we've figured out what's happening in the world. The WEF, Maxime has been so clear on his renouncing of that organization. And he's always on the right side, or I mean, I think he's right because he's on the side I would take for everything. And he's truly, he doesn't speak openly of his faith everywhere he goes, but he's a man of faith with a deep held conviction. And he's the only one that's basically said that abortion needs to be on the table to discuss, because it does need to be. We've had the United States of America that has been fighting many, many years. Life is important. I think that's an important thing to be out there. It's also important that we have the kind of leadership that is willing to tackle the tough issues. That's a new word, eh? Tuffle. To tackle the tough issues and to speak out and to be courageous. It's the kind of courage I have yet to be seeing anywhere else. And if you know someone, you let me know. But in leadership, in true leadership, leading a party, it's unbelievable. Of course, there's always my good friend, Rod Taylor, who always says, Laura-Lynn, you always say it's the only party. No, absolutely. And the Christian Heritage Party, which, I mean, you've been there for years and you're a pillar in the nation. And I love you guys for that. I want to show you this clip. I'm very alarmed because the whole climate thing, I think, and Maxime is all over this climate issue. This is the next problem that we're probably heading into. And I want to show you this clip. Is our next guest waiting? Oh, okay. I was kind of waiting for a notice from you. So let's do that later from what's his name on Glenn Beck on the Winnipeg thing. I would love to introduce my next guest to you. And she has put together she's done a documentary, and I'm so blessed because I'm in it. Should we start it off with a clip before we bring her on? Can we do that? And I was really surprised to be asked to be a part of this. Myself, Chris Sky, Carrie Simpson, some freedom fighters from across the country. She got a whole bunch of things and people to give their perspectives on what we've been going through. And it's absolutely amazing. So it's called Stand With Him. And here's a brief clip before we bring Kim on. Take a look. So, a child that cannot have a glass of wine, cannot get a tattoo. In some places, you can't get your ears pierced without your parents' permission, but you can decide a life altering thing like changing your sexuality or your gender and do it without your parents' permission or approval. We've gone mad, and Canada's gone mad. They've lost their ever loving minds. And some of us are just not going to drink the Kool Aid and fall for all of that. Stand with him. And, I'm on it, but hey, controversial, figures like Chris Sky are on it. And I have to say, I just, Chris is he's like bigger than life, right? Okay. But he gets it at this time, and she's got these comments from him that are just stellar, absolutely amazing. And so, Kim Laureen, I just want to welcome you to the show as the producer and and the director of this film. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing?
Hi, Laura-Lynn. Oh, it's great to see you again. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Okay, well, Kim, tell me about what inspired you to do a movie about what has happened to us, because we're all dealing with it ongoing. And what was the premise that you wanted to bring to the audience with Stand With Him?
Well, the work I do, I feel there's stories that are placed upon me, and this was one that kind of chased me down when we got locked down and different things. I was with everyone. I knew something wasn't right that was going on around, feeling helpless, watching people around me, suffering, what's happening to the kids, the elderly. And I was just confused about it all, but I knew something didn't feel right. So I just thought, let's start having conversations with people and let's get to the truth of the matter. And that was what I found is people don't, or a lot did not know what truth was, but they're seeking it. And that's been, as we know, the agenda at hand: confuse, divide, conquer. And they definitely were in some ways, because they had us all locked down and separated from one another. So we began to sift through that. And it's interesting because you mentioned Chris Sky. He was one of our first interviews that we did. He happened to be coming into town, and I mean, you could hear him before he got here. That's just, his way. But he showed up, he was ready to speak. We captured him in a light that most don't see him. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, yeah, I believe God uses flawed people, myself included, to tell his stories and deliver his messages. And Chris, he really came through. And he was the one that gave me courage in the very beginning to say, hey, I can go through an airport or do whatever, So yeah, he's done a lot for people. He has.
He really has. Well, let's have a look at his clip, because I agree with you. You captured just a very pleasant, a very, I would say, a sobering side of Chris Sky. Let's take a look.
They're setting us up for an era of perpetual lockdowns in Canada. Why are they doing this to Canada? Why does it seem like it's only happening here? That's because it is. And why is because Canada has some of the so-called nicest people in the world. Nice, if you look at the origin of the word, comes back from Latin as naive, easily taken advantage of. And that's exactly what they're doing to Canadians. They're using our goodwill, our good nature, and our ability to see the good in others against us. They're telling you that you need to give up your rights, give up your freedoms, close your business, harm your children, and compromise your family's future for the so-called greater good, or you are somehow a bad person, anti-science, a conspiracy theorist, anti-masker, whatever other label of the day they can come up with to try to goad you back into compliance.
And he's absolutely right. And so you must have seen that, and that's the message. You're conveying the truth of what we're facing right now.
Yeah, exactly. I really felt led to get to the truth, to get to the heart of the matter. And I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not the one who's going to solve all the problems that are going on, but something deep within told me, as an ordinary humble person, there is something I can do here, and that is connect with the truth. And we can all do small things right where we are. And I think this film and the story that comes forth is something that connects people. It doesn't divide people. People have a place that they can come and they can talk and realize, hey, I'm not alone. And it inspires people because everything we need is right within, and we can rise up. And the time is now that we have to rise up before we don't have the ability to do that if they take our rights and freedoms away.
Okay. Uh, absolutely. And I think that what I garnered from your film, which was just absolutely incredible to sit and watch it. You had a couple hundred people that came out to view sort of a private screening. And I think you're going to be doing more of those screenings. And I think that we were left with like the truth of the matter and what had happened. And in fact, you even sort of climate kind of came into it a little bit, and also the way that the church responded. But I am very, very alarmed with the fact that it just is continuing, and the message "Stand with Him" is continuing. You are bringing hope. You are bringing basically the viewer to the place of, okay, so all of this has happened and we actually don't know where this is going. In fact, if you've got time, how is your time today, Kim? Because I wanted to play this clip from Glenn Beck on what's going on in our country, in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And we need to be reminded, because more things, Trudeau's got big plans for climate police, right? Like, this doesn't stop with what we've been through. Do you have a moment to go through and watch this clip with me and get your comment?
Sure.
Thank you.
So architectural plans have been leaked from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, Canada. They are building now, under the Trudeau administration, a new facility in Winnipeg. Now, understand Winnipeg is heartland, Canada. It's red state central, okay? They're building this facility that will be the home to a firearms armory, interrogation rooms, this according to the architectural plans, biological labs, media relations offices, I don't even know what this is, controlled quiet rooms, and intelligence facilities. The plans were drawn up by a firm in Winnipeg, and they kind of open a window into what climate enforcement looks like in Canada. Down the hall from the proposed firearms storage rooms are several evidence rooms, interrogation suites with adjacent recording rooms. According to a recently posted Indeed.com ad up in Canada, the ministry is searching to recruit a battalion of climate pollution officers, with the name of the group, the Environmental Enforcement Directorate. Doesn't that sound a little communist, just that? The entire facility is 50,000 square feet. It will house hundreds of ECCC staff. And the Impact Assessment Act is what gave it power. This passed in the final days of Trudeau's majority government, and it gave sweeping power to ministerial enforcement officers. But nobody knew what that was. It was just in that bill, kind of like, the bill we just passed. Nobody really read it. Nobody knew what it was. The IIA empowers agents of the Ministry of Climate Change to enter premises without a warrant to verify compliance or prevent non-compliance with the Climate Change Act. Trudeau's climate police can enter any location that affects the environment to take photographs, access computer systems and communication devices, and direct any person to put any machinery, vehicle, or equipment in the place into operation or shut it down. They may also prohibit entry or access to the location entirely. Got it?
Got it?
Yeah, they're coming at us from every angle. I believe that the main angle that they're after right now, the most important one to them, is our children, and they are trying to destroy families, dissolve them, and the enemy attacks the young, and it's coming after the kids hard. And I think we need to stand tall. Parents need to rise up before it's too late, because they want the climate stuff. They're going to probably try and lock us down with something else along the way, the digital stuff. But we need to rise up and protect our children, because when they get the kids, they've got an army for the future, and all will be lost. But having said that, that is why this film is called Stand With Him, because the truth lies within that title. And I believe it's not any one of us that are going to solve this. I know God is in control, and it's up to us to be the salt and the light while we're here on earth. And we are called to stand with him. 2 Chronicles 7:14, God is calling us to return to him. Return. He's not going to put up any more with what's been going on. And so it's time for, the flock to return to him. Return to him.
I really believe that. And I think that a part of why people feel that they need the encouragement that your film is offering is because it is so scary. I mean, Trudeau's got big plans for climate police. This was an Alberta report that came out in August of this year, and it's when his hair was sort of in that goofy mode. You remember that little era, Kim? Not a good choice, but basically, Trudeau's government has big plans to enforce its environmental regulations, as the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change Canada is creating a new facility with interrogation rooms and all of that we just heard. Well, here's what's interesting is that they are now offering, there was also an ad basically where the enforcement officer, I'll see if I can get this, JT, I'll take that out, and I'll see if I can pull this up, but climate enforcement officers, where they want to pay them a lot of money, and it's in all of these provinces, in all of these places. It's right here. Okay, see if you can get that. Enforcement officers, Calgary, Alberta, Edmonton, Cranbrook, Nanaimo, Prince George. If you would like to be an enforcement officer, I mean, maybe there's someone watching right now and you need a job. Apparently the government wants you to enforce the climate, and look, it's $66,000 to $75,000. What do you got to be able to do to enforce the climate regulations, So, it's kind of a crazy world we've come to. And, one of the things that you were worried, and maybe you had a bit of backlash too in your show, Stand With Him, was that you spoke about how the church had not stood. Imagine had every church stood in place for the protection of the people of Canada. What a force that would be.
Well, Laura, we have been darkening the world. We have not been lighting it. And if we, the church, the people, had been lighting and shining bright for him, we would not be in this position that we're in now. And I am not surprised, but I am also disappointed at how many churches are backing away from this film, when I thought it's something that should be embraced, because it is showing the way, the truth, and the life, and that's Jesus Christ. And so I think they have let themselves down. And I don't think Christ's church is evil. I am part of the church, but it's man who brings evil to Christ's church. God is shaking the world up right now. He is not putting up with any more of this, and true colors are coming through at every turn. We've all lost a lot of people we thought were friends, but we've gained a lot of beautiful connections along the way, and I hold great hope. I'm not filled with doom and gloom. From the very beginning, I've not been a real news junkie. I stay abreast at what's going, listening to programs like yours, but I always start my day with devotion and prayer, and I just go where he leads and needs me to be. And I believe if we would all do that, we would all shine his light for him, that we could make a huge difference in what's going on, because ultimately it's not any one of us who are in control. It's God's plan for what's going to take place here. And as you say in the film, it is an amazing and an incredible time to be alive. And I'm not afraid. I know that this is a cleansing that needed to happen. And everyone who came together in the film reinforces that. And I would, put a word out to your viewers that if you would like to see this film in your church, in your school parent group, anywhere, a barn, we'll bring it there. We'll do a Q&A with you. We will get this conversation going, because, if we don't, who will? And I think we're all called to stand with him.
Absolutely. Now, what is the best way for anyone who's watching? There might be a pastor who'd like to, see what this is all about and like to get a hold of you. What's the best way?
If you go to our website, standwithhim.com, there's our contact information. There is information on the film, and you can get a hold of us there. I'm easily reachable through that, and I'm always happy to have a discussion with someone who has any questions. And like I said, we're going where he leads and needs us to be with this project, and we appreciate your support.
Kim, before I let you go, can you just give me a personal note on what it was like to go through the process of birthing this film? There's a lot of people now, documentaries are beginning to come out because this is such an epic, like we will look back in our lives and go, wow, do you remember the 2020s? Weren't they weird? And I hope we all survive it, frankly.
Exactly.
But what was it like for you to put all of these pieces together?
Well, I think for me, it was an inward reflection. I had to look inside myself and just be still with me in all the noise that was going on in the world. And believe me, there was much spiritual warfare going on around us and on this film and the work we were trying to do. And so I would start my day, I would be still with him, I would listen, and there would always be a little door that opened along the way. And it just really reminded me that, I can do this, but I have to make sure I am a pen in his hand, that it is his project. It's not me steering the wheel for it. And he really took us through some dark situations, and he brought the film to where it is today. And as I said, there's been many attacks. I've had moments where I've really doubted myself, but I've never doubted what his ability is. And he showed me through my limitation is his opportunity. And I believe that for each and every one of us, there's a gift born within waiting to shine light on the world. And we just have to have the courage to see it through. And he will walk beside us, and he'll bring us all together, and we will be the salt and the light this earth needs.
100%. And you are certainly a light. Kim, you are just a beautiful person, and you work so hard because you are so passionate about this season. So I encourage all of our listeners, our viewers right now, to get your hands on Stand With Him. Go to this website and have a look at it. This would be a great film for your youth group, for a church, sort of maybe a small home group that's kind of discussing and really talking about the real issues in life. And you get a colorful colorful array of people in this video. Believe me. What do I mean by that is what JT says. I mean, you know what I mean. I don't want to spoil it. You got to see this film. It's so cool. It's not just, me and Chris. They're just a whole group, and people speak their mind in very unique ways. And
Yeah, and
I love it.
we have to laugh or we'll cry. And there are some spicy things in there. I mean, not in a terrible way, but we're all human, and we're all living here on Earth. And but ultimately, I just encourage everyone to stand with him.
Amen. Thank you, Kim. God bless
Okay,
you.
thank
Thanks
you.
for your work. Thanks for your contribution to us Canadians at this hour. It's absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
And
Have a good
thank you
day.
being part, Laura. You did fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you. I loved it. Thank you. All right, she is a beautiful person inside and out, and this is a really cool thing. I think young people might enjoy it because it helps you to think very deeply about what has happened. I want to show this clip from the Joni show. I love Joni, and I was on Joni. They covered the Freedom Convoy 2022. And she is a lovely lady, and she had one of my favorite people on there, Lance Wallnow. Now I have got the word that we're going to be able to get Lance Wallnow, have a little interview with him. He is not easy to get. He is too busy. He's doing all his shows in the middle of the night. Sometimes he's got his house coat and his slippers on and stuff. Plus he's doing daytime shows. So it's not easy to get this guy, and he's a bit too big for us, probably. I don't know. I really like Lance, but one of the reasons is because he's not only funny, intuitive. He's got a very strong prophetic gift. He was the first to come out saying Trump would be president in 2016, and everyone thought he was crazy. And he even got a lot of backlash, like, how dare you say that? Trump's been married 3 times. He's a sinner. He doesn't even think he sins, And Lance Wallnow saying, well, I think God told me he's gonna be the president. And so he took all this backlash. But he really speaks out on what's going on. And here in this clip, he's highlighting again what we're talking about with the government, the land, these things, this overreach and tyranny. Take a listen.
One of the things, Lance, that we've noticed is how many major corporations have gone through bankruptcy. Kind of talk about that side of it.
70% of the economy of this country is driven by small businesses. Right. And small businesses, 40% of restaurants last month could not make their rent. Having to choose between paying employees or paying rent, they chose to pay their employees. There's some 30% of small businesses across the country that are heading towards bankruptcy. So the large corporations have also felt the impact, and you're seeing it in stock. But what is particularly troubling to me is the fact that I keep seeing this as almost a design to produce a place where you don't own anything. Because the ideal goal of communism and socialism is the government owns it and lets you use the property. Yeah. They're buying up, and if we talk about it, they're buying up farmland. They're putting farmers out of business in Europe because the government wants to own all farmland and turn it over to their own corporations and NGOs who will tell you what to eat. So this obsession with controlling the populations is part of what's driving the instability and the destruction of free enterprise, which, if it's unleashed properly, could still produce in the United States untold wealth. If his policies were being applied, we would still have the economy Trump had. So economic policy is a reflection of ideology. Right. And ideology is now becoming hostage to a fake religion that is which is at odds with reality. And we'll go into it. Environmentalism is a religious obsession with those that have it. It's like their apocalypse. We're talking about the vision here. Their vision is all their prognosticators are talking about global climate meltdown. Right, and they are fanatical about changing everything to get things saved.
So, It's just so concerning that there's a concerted effort to destroy. We've seen it all through what we've gone through the last 2 years, almost 3. Has it been? Oh my Lord. That is shocking when I think about it that way. To destroy the small business and medium-sized business, to destroy families, to take away incomes, fathers, unless they get, a medical experiment happening on their body that they might lose their jobs. All of this is really crazy. And what Trudeau is doing with the climate thing, and for goodness sakes, you know what really bothers me? It's the cricket factory. What are we doing with the world's largest cricket factory or whatever it is in Montreal? I mean, we don't want to eat bugs and we shouldn't be doing it, everyone. How much you want to bet that there's going to start being the bug addition to our favorite restaurant on the menu? Watch for it. Bet you anything. The the Yeah, yeah. Instead of the like heart healthy meals, you'll have, the little symbol beside it. They'll have a little cricket, and this has a little bit of the bug juice in that is so good for you, healthy protein, and good for the environment, climate change. Eat bugs. How much you want to bet that pretty soon we'll have some sort of bug patty, right, in our burgers? You've got the veggie patty. They're gonna have the bug patty. I just know it. It's just disturbing. All right, couple of news items. Something kind of cool. People are standing up all over the world. So 96 doctors, 96 doctors in Quebec are calling for an immediate end to the vaccinating children for COVID. And so this is really, Steve Kirsch is putting this out. Just a bit of news there. I find it fascinating that in a world where a lot of doctors are not doing anything. So what does that say? And I'm trying to read that blue part there, a complete and immediate ban on the vaccination of children in Quebec against COVID-19 is necessary, if only under the precautionary principle, first do no harm. And isn't that good? I mean, we could have sort of some common sense ruling here. This isn't about vaccinate or vaccinate. It's not this does not have to be divisionary. What about we just think about first doing no harm? Isn't that the first sort of rule and the first oath that a doctor takes, is that they're not going to do any harm, that they will think through all of the possible remedies, and you would only do something that would be good. And so when we know the data on the fact that kids are not getting COVID, and when they do, they're really sailing through it, it's very, very few deaths. And that is usually with comorbidities. And when we know the VAERS reports and the number of kids actually that have died, after taking the shot, that's very concerning. So let's let reason rule. Let's let good thought. Can we have a meeting of the minds on this? Could good people stand up? And that's what I appreciate about these 96 doctors. And then I also have a share there, JT, that I put up. And this is reporting on, now I just have to find it. I don't know where it went. Oh, here it is. Okay. Boom. So Ron DeSantis, another stand-up guy. As long as I'm around, he says, children will not be required to get the coronavirus jab. Excellent Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo spoke out prior to the CDC panel's ACIP 15-0. This was a deadly vote assuring that the standard will not change in Florida, and DeSantis doubled down on that sentiment on Thursday in Florida. That was yesterday. I think that it's very important that these governors and people of principle, and they're hard to find, aren't they? That they would stand up against the constant Yesterday, we talked about the hatred that is building. There's only one way to get through this, and that is by speaking out, standing up, and standing with him for Kim. Is there anything else, JT? No? Okay, we're good. I'm Laura-Lynn Tyler Thompson. Thank you very much for supporting this show. Thank you. If you would like to help us do what we do, which is not with any support at all from our government or any media companies, if you would like to support the truth that we tell, because everything that you've seen here today, you will not see on CBC, CTV, or Global. You absolutely will not. You will not see even the real news. I mean, this interesting stuff about the 96 doctors standing up. Please, somebody send me if you see it on the nightly news, if you happen to be watching it, which many of us are not. Do let me know what you think, about our show and the truth that we tell. So if you're able to go to our website, there's a little donate button there. You can click that. And we very, very much appreciate anything that you can do. And we love you. Thank you for your support. And if you're not able to support, it's okay. We just are so glad you're here. And we're so glad that you're willing to stand with us. And also we want to remember Sun City Silver and Gold. I'm just going to do a cough. Can I push the cough button? I feel like maybe I got a little bit of my lipstick on the back of my throat again. Also, I have been having the worst allergies. I don't know if I've had late onset allergies come on, but I'm actually allergic to my dogs, I think. And so, sneezing, kind of feel like that, but it's not a cold. Like, I don't feel sick. I feel allergic. So very annoying, I have to say. But many of you are thinking about what to do with your finances. And as we talked about what Lance Wallnau was just saying about our economy and what they're doing, there's some safe places to put your funds. And I believe safe places right now. And it's not me, it's the experts that we've been talking to on this show, the experts that we've been listening to and reading up on, that silver and gold is one of the best bets. So I wanted to let you know, if you feel to do that, because I feel that pressed on my heart that you need that information, then please go to Sun City Silver and Gold. They are a group that we trust. That is their email right there. And Steve Merrill, he made that up. Sovereigntize. Is that what it is? Sovereignize at protonmail.com. He made it up. Isn't that funny? So I love you all. I want to leave you with a scripture today. And where was the scripture that I picked out? Do you know what I do? I find it, JT, and then I don't move this thing to, I think I'm moving it. And then, oh, Lord only knows where it is. Okay, so I was in Jeremiah this morning, and I actually listened to a good portion of Jeremiah in the night. What an amazing book. Oh, it's back here. There it is. Oh, maybe no, it wasn't. Oh, so annoying. Jeremiah, I know, okay, I'm getting laughed at now. Start the music. All right. The word of the Lord came to me saying in Jeremiah 1, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Do you think God knew you before he even formed you? Isn't that a stunning sort of thought? That he knew that you would be funny. He knew that you would be strong-willed. He knew that some of you would not like doing what someone else tells you to do, but you'd have your own mind. That's probably why you're watching this show, because I'm like that. I don't like other people telling me definitely what goes into my body. Definitely don't appreciate being told to do things that I feel might be harmful to myself. But I really love that the Word of God tells me that whether I'm a problem, my dad, he'd say that, well, she's no angel. She's a problem. My own father. Yeah, so I had to tell him, stop saying that to people, especially in front of the judge. Anyways, long story. The word of the Lord came to me saying, before I formed you in your womb, I knew you. Our parents didn't even know us the way God knows us, right? Your brothers and sisters don't even know you. Your husband or wife, your special person, your best friend does not even know you the way God knows you. Why? Because before, like when your mom and dad, okay, I don't want to get too personal, but they're thinking, the gleam in your father's eye and all that, and they're going to make a baby, right? God's like, okay, into that womb, we're putting this little egg and we're putting this little soul, okay? And shooting it down the chute to get to that womb, that soul, because that soul actually has always been there. Because before God formed us in the womb, he knew us. So he kind of looked at us like we were just a little soul, let's say, just a little nebulous thing here. And he's like, oh yeah, this is good. This is going to be good for Mildred and her husband, Jerry. They want to have a baby. Well, this one's going to give them a run for their money. It's going to be fun to watch this, Michael? Right? Archangel. And so he shoots down your little soul into that egg and sperm as they collide. And there you are. And God knew you before your parents knew you. He knew who you would be. All of that fun that you are. Well, some people don't think you're so fun. You know that. But he knew you. Is that not the best? And if he knows us, then he's got this. And we can trust him. And we stand with him. I've loved being here with you. Thank you for being here with me. God bless. It's not easy to deliver the truth of what our sick world is doing, but for some of us, we feel that we have no choice. Because if we are silent about these abominable things, then we are letting evil go unchecked, and we cannot do that. For those of you wonderful people who are writing me and are sharing your encouragement, I am deeply grateful. Thank you for all the letters that you've been sending. Thank you for the donations and the support. I found out that in order to speak the truth, you have to become very, very strong. If you would go to my website at www.laura-lynn.tv, you'll find all of the ways that you can contact me. Remember, my friends, all is well. All is well. Thanks for joining me.